My heart and soul has fallen in love with 1990 Vendyl Jones, Rabbi Meir Kahane, and the Lubavitcher Rebbi. Right? I guess tomorrow or whatever day it is, we're going to be watching the video of the conference. And when I found out at the beginning of my Noahide work, very early on, it was I didn't know anything coming into it, obviously, and I found out that there was a conference with Meir Kahane. And I'm saying, wow, that's interesting, right? Now, in the Torah project, one of the nuggets that just is a powerful of expression of redemption, Mashiach, and Vilna Gaon. Obviously, the Vilna Gaon redemption follows a timeline, a paradigm clock, if you will, and we're in the time of Mashiach. Everyone agrees on that. But 1990, Mashiach was supposed to come. But, not like we're waiting like the clock, but 1990 was a cosmic moment. It was 12 p.m. on the cosmic clock, 6 days of creation. And the reason why it's valid and not a hokey thing, because every cosmic moment has been fulfilled. The Vilna Gaon knew he was true and important because he was born and came out, pretty much, at 6 a.m. on the cosmic clock. And that it was like they knew it. It wasn't even like, hey, look at that, it's 6 a.m. It was predicted. The Rizal Kabbalah came out at a particular time, I think like the middle of the night, Chatzot Lila, middle of the night. Pretty much the entire exile from the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, all these 2,000 years, you have had the fulfillment of these times. Without any doubt. I mean, it's if there's anything real to bank on, it's that every time has happened. It's one of those things that actually is real about Mashiach coming. Everything else is, hey, this guy was Mashiach, but this is one that's just undeniable. So 1990 was going to be the next big one. 1740 is the last biggest year. It was Baal Shem Tov, the Vilna Gaon, everything Torah Judaism today we have was born in 1740. Even your Art Scroll Chumash predicted this, people. I mean, it's that much. If Art Scroll's doing it, there's something to it, because they don't get into that. And they say there's a 100-year prophecy from the Zohar that the well springs of heaven and earth will be open. And again, Art Scroll is not known to be quoting Zohar, so if they do it, there's something to it. And it happened because the Industrial Revolution started there, and it just, even secularism acknowledges this. So it's pretty impressive. 1990 was predicted something's going to happen. Something's going on in 1990. So the Lubavitcher Rebbi makes a big push for his Mashiach cause, and Lubavitch did their thing. And all we know is Chabad. I mean, we. And that was all we heard about. We. But it's not true. When you look back, something else happened in 1990, and it doesn't get the headlines. And Russell and I look for these little things that the masses miss in the timeline. For example, at the end of the Vilna Gaon 100-year span, 1740 to 1840, what happened in 1844? Exactly 100 years at the end of the fulfillment was George Bush, the elder Bush, wrote a commentary on Ezekiel, founded the right-wing Christian Zionist movement that started the whole thing that we have today of evangelical. It's like, there he is. He was the guy. And I read part of the commentary, and it was the beginning of where the Christians were saying, well, why are you looking at Ezekiel in a fantastic way? Why don't you just literally put the Jews on their land and Yeshua will come back? And they tried it. And secular Judaism was born, that Zionism. So, meaning you can see the timeline is very real. Very real players, and we're living it. I mean, there are missionaries in Israel, right? They're there, and they were sent at that time. So we are in the religious world, and we're part of this timeline. And when you look at 1990, there was a conference with Vendyl, and Meir Kahane was there, and you look at it, and you realize those guys started this thing. And what we know from the Kabbalistic perspective, Ger is pretty Mashiach-oriented in the classic sources. So maybe there was more to that conference than meets the eye. And you got to think, did Vendyl matter? I think maybe he did. And in Orthodox Judaism, there's one guy that doesn't matter at all, and that's Rabbi Meir Kahane. And he doesn't get any accolades in Torah circles. He's a radical. They say Meir Kahane's right. Well, we say he's wrong, just because we want to say he's wrong. Me and Chaim call this the blessing of Melchizedek. No guy ever got dumped on more than Shem Melchizedek. And we say Shem sinned with Abraham. And Chaim realized that is the blessing of Melchizedek. Because the Satan sees, there's nothing going on with Shem. Forget Shem. So then they all go somewhere else. Meanwhile, the Torah of Shem does live on. It is the Kabbalah. It's the sod of Torah, the secrets of Torah. And no one is looking at Shem. Right? The church has a little thing with Melchizedek, but that's pretty much, no one builds anything off that in Judaism. So in Judaism, no one looks at Shem, but that's where all the action is. And you look in history, the guys that get dumped on the most by Orthodox Jews, usually there's something going on. Vilna Gaon, dumped on pretty much by everybody. Yeah, he's a genius, but he was wrong. And then you look into it more, Rav Kook, the father of Zionism, he was a Shagetz. And you say, of course he was a Shagetz, he was a Zionist. But then you look into the guy's Torah and you say, wow, he really got it. I mean, this is, and for me, with my Ger goggles, as I call it, he got Ger. I mean, literally in his Torah, verbatim, this and that. And you start to realize, it's true, those that get dumped on by the masses are your heroes. And I was not a Meir Kahane guy. I wasn't going to say bad about him, but I'm saying, well, all right, what do you really know? Right? Because until you know, you don't know. I have no reason to think, because you said it must be a big gon. So people have been chipping away for the same reason I got into Rabbi Nachman, because he's very big into Ger, and I was like, Rabbi Nachman, give me a break. They said, no, listen, he's got Ger in there. I'm like, all right, if you say he's got Ger in there, I'm willing to give anybody a shot if you tell me there's a Ger in there. Anybody that says that, I'll give it a go. So I get into Likutei Moharan, I'm saying, wow, this guy he's the top 5 all-time Ger guy. So now I teach Rabbi Nachman, because he's a hardcore Ger guy. So, we good? When it came time for the conference, I was just kind of playing around with Meir Kahane, because again, it's the Vendyl Conference, and Meir was there, and the 1990 thing. So I talked to my good friend Amnon. Some of you may have known who he is. He's my secret genius in the bank for me to give me ideas. And he says, Meir Kahane this, Meir Kahane that. In fact, I'm only friends with this guy because I was teaching Kol Torah, Mashiach and Yosef. And he kept telling me, Meir Kahane taught about Mashiach and Yosef too. So I had to give at least a little bit of props. Maybe he's all right. So I bought the book. Coming up to this conference, I don't know how you would translate it in English. It's really not so translatable. Maybe like the concept of light, or the idea of light. I don't know how you'd call it. Or a rayon. So I started to research it coming up to this conference. And I saw very quickly, I was looking through the table of contents, where's the Ger? Where's the Ger? There's got to be Ger here. And there was. There was a chapter about the non-Jew. And so I opened it up, and I did it pretty quick, and I wasn't planning on hashing it out to that extent. And I'm seeing, maybe he got Ger, maybe not. I don't know. This is, you stop me. Usually I don't get stumped by Ger stuff, but this one, he's got me. Literally, I'm not sure. I'm quick to think maybe he didn't get it. He's wrong, because everyone said he's wrong. He says he's right, but we say he's wrong. But I don't know. Maybe he did get it. I don't know. So I ruled in my own mind, he didn't get it. No, he didn't get it. No, he didn't get it. And I gave it a look again. I'm saying, okay, I did it again, and I'll give it to him. Maybe he got it a little bit, but he's not saying what we're saying. Because the difference is, there's really two, this is where the teaching is going to begin. Ger Toshav, whatever that is, can really go one of two ways. It's going to be our friend the Ger, our good Ger. He's an awesome guy. You can call him all these different terms in the Torah, Ger, Chassid, and all your friendly Ger. And then there's your slave Ger. He's our servant. He makes us coffee. So I'm saying I think he's making slave Ger. He's not our friend. He doesn't know the Hasid Ger. He doesn't know him. So pooey on Rav Meir Kahane, right? But he got ger a little bit, so I'll give him some respect. And I kept looking at it, and I just kept, because he words it very difficult. So either he really didn't get it, or he got it so well, Mr. Katz here, you got to slow down, my friend, and go over it. So he started to win me over, because remember, not how many people were getting ger on this level. I say the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and I got the book here. This is part of my Chicago tour. This is a sikha from the Rebbe. 100% ger, 10 out of 10 out of 10. He is your best friend. Rabbi Nachman got ger, 10 out of 10. He is your best friend. And quick promo, the book we're translating, long story, the Soloveitchik family in Chicago. This is called Od Yisrael Yosef B'nai Chai. Rav Aaron Soloveitchik wrote this. This is the ger authority of all time. I translated it. God willing, we're going to get it out. This is like the ger Bible. This is heavy duty. This is, wait till you read this. This is going to blow your minds. Hopefully it'll come out soon through the editing process. So when you get your ger friends in Torah, you don't, it's select company. It's elect company, and not many people make my personal Mount Rushmore. So when you tell me that Rabbi Meir Kahane is going to be on my Mount Rushmore, man, it better be worth it. All right? I'm telling you, you better earn your way up there, because otherwise you're saying that the Gerim are slaves, this and that. And we don't have that. Right? Our friends Rashi, Rambam, these are our ger friends. Right? We do not pervert the ger line. So I was willing to even come here tonight and say that he got it. Just on Amunah alone. I read enough about it. I live a busy life with all my other things. I'm not devoting that much time to this sefer. It's just not worth my time. He's Meir Kahane. And something changed. It's called a nice flight in the air. So I had my 11 hours on Sunday. I was speaking kind of rough. I knew it was good. And I knew I had what to talk about. Okay, but I would give it a B+. He was giving me a B+, which means he knew the sources. He was coming through. All right, he was not a threat. And it would be interesting content for tonight, at best. All right, he got a lot of things right, but not ger. On a plane for 11 hours, air pressure was right. Temperature was right. I didn't have to go to the bathroom that much. There was a little space between the seats. I don't know why. It's a little comfortable. It was a 12 in the afternoon flight. So every time I've been flying this year, it's 3 in the morning. And it's a nightmare, 3 in the morning. Now it's like I have all day. And there's no kids. And my mother's not yelling at me to pick up my clothes off the ground. And I don't have Gerim calling me on Skype. Rabbi Katz, what does this mean? And I'm saying, wow, I have all day. The light wasn't broken this time. It was shining on me. And it wasn't hot, the light, burning my flesh. The music was good. The automatic DJ on my MP3 player was coming through for me. Good music was coming through. And there was a woman next to me. She was having a ball. She was watching the movies and having fun. She was having a good time. The guy next to me, he was looking. I don't know, he's looking at him, and he's looking. And me, I'm the freak. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm writing notes. They must have thought they were sitting next to a mad scientist. I'm saying, I'm saying what I saw. I was this far from saying, do you know how amazing this is? If you knew what I was doing right now, you would want to know about Meir Kahane. And this guy, I'm thinking he just knew. He's like, yeah, So I'm saying, that's right. You better believe it. So I get my pen out. I'm taking notes. I'm like, okay, we got only 11 hours. Did you ever, there's like a movie I saw where Arnold Schwarzenegger had to get off the airplane in the amount of time. I'm thinking, that's me. I got 11 hours to get this thing done. Right? Because I'm not going to have this gap of time. And I'm telling you, it was bomb after bomb after bomb. And I think he's the world record holder. He's my guy. He came through. Rav Meir Kahane, he is the ger guy. He is the one. I'm telling you, he got it on levels I've never. He gave answers to questions that I kind of wanted to admit I had, but too much ego. So I don't know. That's not a real question. And he's like, hey, let me tell you the answer to your question. I'm like, okay, yeah, you got it. So I'll tell you one of the questions. Jethro was a convert, right? We say, no, he was ger. And they say, okay, so if he was ger, as you say, why did he leave the Jewish people and go to his family? And obviously he converted, and we don't even, blah, 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 blah. So Meir Kahane gives the answer. And then we can, before we answer that, we can say the same thing for our good friend Naaman. Everyone remembers our good friend Naaman? Why did he leave? Oh, if I would have got here, I would have stayed there, and I would have gone to do idolatry with the king of whatever, right? Everyone's got their complaints on Naaman. Why did he go back and bow to the king? I'm saying it's not a question. You know he didn't do Avodah Zarah there. He's the biggest king, Ger Toshav of all time. Leave him alone. He's a good guy. And Rabbi Meir Kahane saying, but come on, you know they're asking the question, right? I'm saying, yeah, but we don't go there. We believe. He's like, you know there's an answer to the question. I said, leave me alone. We don't go there. But he does give the answer. Here's the answer. And this is fire from heaven, man. This is what I wanted to say too is, they say, well, my rabbi has Ruach HaKodesh. And you say, okay, yeah. Then, well, Rashi knew everything. He had Ruach HaKodesh. Oh, okay. So I'm very skeptical to use those words. But boy, did Rav Meir Kahane have Ruach HaKodesh. It is not humanly possible to have this much wisdom on a random subject like Ger. And also the Rebbi, in his Sikha, he wrote on everything. Like, how many books did the Rebbi write? Like, literally, at least 50? Okay? How is it possible to learn everything on that level? So I know one thing in the world. I know Ger. That's all I know. I don't know how to tie my shoes, but I know Ger Torah. And these guys, look, this generation, I think I know Ger pretty well. I think we can admit that. But I literally don't hold a candle to these guys. Rav Aaron Soloveitchik, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rebbe Nachman, Meir Kahane, I'm just teaching you what they said. And I've been saying that since day one. All I do is repeat to you what I read and what I consider my Mount Rushmore and my findings. But this guy got it on such a level, all you can say is, he even got the little dinky Ger, or maybe Ger is that big that someone who gets the truth is going to get Ger, go to Ger, and it wasn't so small and random after all. Anyone on a path of truth is going to run into Ger, and we see it in our lives and our learning. It's not an accident. It was not like, wow, Rebbe knew everything and Ger. No, he knew Ger, therefore everything. See the difference? When you get Ger, you get it all. And you try conveying that to people, it's pretty tough to do. Because, oh, come on, the stranger, the alien, the convert, the foreigner, yeah, that little guy in the Torah, he stole Torah. Yeah, who knows why? I mean, we know why. It's the path to Mashiach, that's why. So here's the answer. There's two kinds of war. There's Milchama Rishus, Milchamas Mitzvah. An optional war and a mitzvah war. An optional war is our friend Pinchas. Everyone knows our friend Pinchas? And he went with the Midianites, and he conquered, he took out Bilam, and they brought back the captive women of war. In Hebrew you call it Yafa Toar. And where's John Havinar? You should remember this from last year at Nia's house. In the Rambam we did for 14 hours. So, that war is an optional war. Because it was not contingent or having anything to do with the land of Israel. It was a different inyan altogether. And on a side note, those women are called Ger. They're kosher to a Jew. Even the Kohen Gadol can and did marry those women. How many of you ever heard of Ruth? She was a Ger. And she was not a convert. And she married you. And that child becomes a Jew. I taught this in England, and the Midrash Rabbah on Parshas Naso, which is one of the biggest collections of Ger Torah that exists, says, if a woman sanctifies her womb with modesty and purity of the Jewish code of excellence, let's call it, she marries a Jew, that child is a Jew. That was what became of Ruth and Boaz, which gave us King David eventually. And I taught that in London, and they're like, nah, no way. Now, he knew it was true, he admitted it was true, what his fear was, you're going to promote intermarriage with that. I'm saying, well, then you need to be a little smart about it. I found a book in Modin by a Rav today who's popular. I actually don't know who he is. Everyone I show the book to, they're like, hey, that's Rabbi Shmulewitz. I brought the book here. It is literally written there in stone that a Ger Toshav in a time of Jubilee can marry a Jew. And Ruth was the example. So I guess I learned it okay. And now I carry the book with me wherever I go. If everyone asks, hey, he wrote it, not me. So that's the Yafa Toar mitzvah, though. That, when we call that Yafa Toar, whenever you see the random, useless stuff called Yafa Toar, that's not random, useless. That's called ger genre. And that's a nice way of saying ger woman allowed to Jewish man. That's where it gets complex and people usually break down. But that's where the ger genre comes in. So Pinchas led that war. That was an optional war. And when there are gerim in Idaho, that is the job of Pinchas. And kind of the mantle to go around the world and find what Rav Aaron Soloveitchik is calling it, the ger hasid, the ger chassid, the chassid almost olam, the pious of the nations, however you want to say it. That guy, that's what this room is, right? I mean, we're not here with Uzis and machine guns. We're here to say we stand for Hashem, we're with you, right? And so if there was a war, then those people could stand up and say, we're not in the war, we're just coming because we love God. We're just with God. So then Pinchas will say, right on, fist bump, we're with you all together, all the way. All right? And so that's what Pinchas represents. Because remember, those women, the captives of war, that was like it was kind of a weird way, but it's a good thing. And a kind of biblical, weird, good way kind of thing. Now, we're just going to call that entire genre Pinchas, which is different than Joshua. Joshua is your general of the war. You know, he's kind of the conquest of Jericho. Pinchas and Joshua have radically different rules and jobs. But as we all know in the book of Judges and Joshua, Pinchas and Joshua are working pretty tandem. In fact, who was the matchmaker for Joshua and Rahab? Pinchas set that marriage up. So it's a tight little group. Joshua's on a different trip. He's on a different trip. He's on Milchamas Mitzvah. He has a different job. He's bringing the Israelites in, and the Ger constituency also coming in. And they have to get to a Jubilee. Remember, all this stuff is from the book here. I'm just giving you the teaching from Meir Kahane now. I mean, this is straight on. So we got to get to the Jubilee. Once we get to Jubilee, that means we conquered Israel. We kicked out the nasty goyim. Now, what does that mean? That's a pretty provocative term, isn't it? So he says there are, and I'm speaking with Meir Kahane-isms here, okay? I want you to feel the effect of what he's saying. Because everyone's going to say, and this is what I've been approached with, that Rabbi Katz, Kahane doesn't say like you. Kahane hated the goyim and wanted them dead. This, and that's like a radical Kahanics, right? I'm saying, well, of course I'm not interested in Meir Kahane. But when you get it in the source, and you can swallow the pride a little bit to hear where he's going, that's where it opens up. A goy to him is a Canaanite. The 7 Canaanite nations. Different bria altogether. This is not your friend, not his friend, not their friend, no one's friend. What makes someone a Canaanite? It's not DNA or genetics. When you have something called an Israelite, created by God, God started it, an Israelite, by definition, and Ger is the 4th house of Israel, so they're going to be attached onto there. So anything Israelite, Israel-ish, is always going to be commanded to go to Israel and conquer the land. Because God simply said so. It's like front-side colonialism. God said so. When you have Israelite coming into the land, because God said so, you have probably inhabitants of the land. When you have inhabitants in the land of Israel, and you have Israel taking its land, now you have what's called a Canaanite. Today we call them Muslims. You might even call them ISIS. You can call them Hamas. The Ramdu calls it Klippa. All right, straight up Klippa. Why? Ramdu doesn't care what you're called. Call him Muslim, call him idolater, really doesn't matter. It's just called get him out of here. Because if you don't get him out of here, he's looking to get you out of there. I mean, I gave this class with preparation with Mike at the wall. I hope we came over good on that video. It's our new little series we're doing. But it's that simple. The Canaanites, whatever they were, it might even be like a nickname. It doesn't even matter. They had places of worship where they did their whole thing. Islam today is not a religion. It's not called Islam. It's called the house of worship on the Temple Mount. It stands for kill the Jews because they're trying to take the land. Now, you can be politically correct. Oh, we're going to kill the Jews. No, it's a political issue, and they're good people. They're misled by the imams. It's the imams' fault. It's the imams' fault. No, actually, it's not the imams' fault. It's the Jewish people's fault because God said, go take the land. Once they have the command to go take the land, you have now an Amalekite, Canaanite trying to kill you. And Meir Kahane knew that. You don't negotiate with Muslims. Now, guess what? The Rambam said that the Muslims are not bad people. They're pretty good. And we can hang out with them. We can shoot pool and throw darts with them. It's all good. Guess what, Rambam? You're not alive today. That was a different Muslim. Once you have something called Jews, for all intents and purposes, taking the land back, Islam ended right then and there. It ended. It's now called Canaanites killing Jews. Right? And as I was talking to Rod earlier, about where Rod is, I don't know. There he is. When you were telling me that Christians went back to idolatry, I guarantee you that's why. Once Islam turned in to kill the Jews, Christianity, because the clip is all one, is turning back into Avodah Zarah. It can't not do it. It's got to do it. Because there's something called Israel taking the land back. Well, they shouldn't take the land back. It's not their land. Well, guess what? Reality says different. I don't care if it is illegal. I don't care what it is. There's a fact, a reality. There's a Jew somewhere in the world right now today with a gun taking back the land that God gave him. Whatever filter you want that in, it really doesn't matter. There's a Jew on earth with a gun right now saying the land is his. He might even be wrong. He might not even be Jewish. He might even be from Taiwan. It doesn't matter. When someone in the land from Islam hears that, he says, there's a Jew taking the land. I'm now a Canaanite and I have a mitzvah to kill that guy. Therefore, Meir Kahane is saying, what is the Jewish response? It's now called a milchamas mitzvah. It's a obligational war. Because Islam made it an obligational war. So Meir Kahane was not interested in negotiation, being nice, or pampering to the Muslims. Because they're no longer called Muslims. It's not even called a human being. It's called formula. It's just a formula. It's that when a Jew enters, you can be a ger entering, it doesn't matter. Fourth house of Israel. Israelite enters, anyone on location is now going to try to kill you. And Meir Kahane knew that. Pretty powerful, isn't it? It changes everything. I mean, it changes everything. You thought it was a gender issue, a race issue. No, actually it's not. It's actually a Yetzirah issue. A world that has no place here. It has no logic of this world. It's the upper worlds going at it. And he's saying, if you don't get on board with this down here, you're going to pay the price. And they say Meir Kahane was right, and he was right. But not because he was some guy looking in a book and in this world. It wasn't this world. He's talking Ramdu. Something totally different. And I'm going to step out for a second, just use the restroom, but I'll close on this point to answer the question we had about Jethro. So, we had the Yafa Toar and all the people in the lands. People in Idaho, you're okay. We're not coming to kill you. Nothing's wrong. Idaho's good. I'm saying whatever the circumstance is, it's a different circumstance. We have the problem with the Canaanites, right? It's our problem. Rabbi Katz is talking to people in Idaho. He'll come to Idaho, set up a little yeshiva, and say, Ger Chassid, way to go. Meir Kahane, and that's called Pinus, right? Meir Kahane is not interested in Rabbi Katz or Rabbi Katz's work. Meir Kahane is saying we got to deal with Israel. So there's two kinds of goyim. Those connected to Israel and those not in Israel. When those not in Israel, they're actually not called goyim anymore. We have the Ritva commentary, which we say there's three kinds of non-Jew: a goy, a ben noach, and a ger toshav. And that's what I teach, right? We have the whole thing. How do you leave from being a goy? You leave idolatry, you grow, take on ger, take on mitzvahs, the whole thing. That's called Pinchasism, Katzism, whatever you want to call that ism. It's a known thing, and that's what we do, and it's amazing work. That's not Meir Kahane. Meir Kahane is saying, what about the goyim connected to Israel? And those are real goyim. And not because of the word goy or this or that, a formula. He is called a goy because he is trying to kill you now. Because you're trying to take the land that you claim God gave you. And every Pinchas ger is attached to that Israel. It's called fourth house of Israel. So that's that thing. Now, you have Rahab in the time before Joshua's conquest. Now remember, Joshua didn't finish the deal. So it never happened. But she came in at a time where it could have been, before the final verdict. In the desert, you had Jethro. Well, now we're going to answer the question, right? Jethro becomes ger. He's a Pinchas ger, which most literally, Jethro, or Pinchas is a reincarnation of Jethro. So it's mishpacha. Jethro becomes ger. In about another week or two, we're going to be going into Israel, right? Jethro's coming in, and we're going to go to Israel. It's going to be good. Jethro's saying, I'm in trouble. If I stick around, and I'm a ger toshav, connected to Israel, and the Canaanites are coming, that whole thing with Rahab and this whole thing, even if it works out legitimately, what happens if I, Jethro, who am a ger toshav, in the land of Israel, these Meshuggahs are going to say that I have to pay tax, I have to be a servant, they're going to make me a Shabbos goy, whatever it is, and are they going to let, and this is what we're saying, stay for us, Jethro, your eyes for us. He said, but your people are nuts. They're looking to make me their Shabbos goy. Like, no, we want you here. You're our eyes. Like Jethro, like Moses, they don't get ger. I'm telling you, they don't get it. They want me to be the ger toshav like a Canaanite. So what does Jethro do? He goes out of the land to his family. Guess what? No more problem, is there? He's a Pinchas ger. He left. He says, I'm not waiting to stick around to find out what happens. And he did it with Sinai too. I'm going to wait and see what happens. That's his pattern. He says, I'm going to go make ger. When Joshua figures it out, call me, and I'll come back with all the Canaanites and Rechabites, okay? You call me when it happens. Naaman also, time of war. Naaman says, I'm a ger toshav now. These guys are going to make me their slave. Right? Israel wasn't exactly righteous at that time. So what does Naaman do? Well, God, it's between me and you. I'm out of here. If they get their act together, I'm coming back. I'm not going to be a slave in this ger toshav thing. He bounced. Is that a great answer? It's a fantastic answer. So what Meir Kahane is saying is, my point here, that ger toshav is problematic. He says there's 3 requirements for ger toshav. Make a ger toshav, keep the 7 laws of Noah, pay tax, and servitude. We're talking about the conquered ger in the land. The verse in the Torah itself says tax and slavery, servitude. Remember, these are people trying to kill you, and you broke their spirit, and that's the ger toshav, right? That ger toshav. The verse doesn't say 7 laws of Noah. The Rambam says it in his commentary. Ramban argues with that. And Meir Kahane is saying, look, 7 laws is going to be a ger toshav issue. The main thing is the servitude and the tax. And I'll close on this note, and I'll come back for round 2. When you start talking ger, and this is what he says like 3 times in here. When you start mentioning ger toshav on any level, he says it arouses the machlokas rishonim. He says you're never going to win. Because everyone's going to get it wrong. Most ger toshav, he says, is our friend the ger chassid. They take it to be the slave. So if I start saying the 3 things for the conquered, then they're going to start bringing up the ger toshav, or better yet for Idaho. We want to make a ger in Idaho. They're going to call them slaves and tax. And we see people that get it wrong. Because the Rishonim are very hard. Rod, I talked about not being brash when you say this, but today I'm the only guy on earth that knows the distinction between all these terms. I hate to say it that way. But it is. But Meir Kahane knew it before me, and Rebbi knew it then. And this generation, why is it coming down to such a small numbers? I don't know. But I only know what I know because people like Meir Kahane got it so right. He made it a pleasure to learn it. I'm saying to the Jews and people, just learn it. It's mind-blowing stuff. But, the Noahide or ger numbers are very small too. I mean, everyone knows friends and family. If they would just get it, right? Why are you all part of the minority? We're all part of the minority. So he's saying when you go for the truth, it's a balagan. Everyone mangles it. So he says, you know what? And this is where he and I differ in a good way. He says, you know what? Leave the ger toshav out, because the verse only says the slavery and the tax, and just leave the ger toshav out. What he's saying is, I can't deal with you guys. I want to deal with Israel and Zionism and the Canaanites and the Muslims, and we'll fix the world with Zionism. He got killed just after the Noahide Conference, pushing that. So I'm on the airplane saying, man, what do I do now? He's right. I know what I'm doing is not wrong, but we certainly have our challenges. So I'll leave you on a question to think about, and then we'll come back for round two if you want. What do we do? We know he got killed, okay? He got killed over being right. And we know there's two kinds of non-Jew or ger. Eretz Yisraelans and non-Eretz Yisraelans. Some that become either break their spirit because they're trying to kill you, and people you want to warm their heart and bring to God because they love God. Different person altogether. And we know we're doing good work, but we know we have opposition because everyone thinks that we are them. And they got killed. And they are not working well. Then the people that are in our field are taking this Torah and putting it here and saying, you guys are now slaves. What? Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work. And we have a couple guys fighting the fight saying, wait, no. You're not learning it right. Take what you had here, keep it here, and then go over here the right way, which Meir Kahane was trying to tell you, but you didn't listen to him. So the rhetorical question, or contemplative question, we know we're good, we know we're going strong, we know we're going to see Mashiach, we know that it started in 1990, right? What went wrong in 1990 was, in my belief, was Meir Kahane got killed. If he would have, and he was a Cohen, I'm a Cohen, so I know a little bit about it, but if he wouldn't have died, I have no doubt, and Mike, this is to quote you, Vendyl was his ger. And they would have seen Mashiach come as it was told in 1990. The Rebbi was there. The Rebbi got it. Meir Kahane got killed. That's all I can say. They had it. They mamash had it. You're going to watch that video and see they had it. It was done. But he got killed. And I'm saying, now we're here. We're worthless compared to who they were. I mean, think about it. Am I Meir Kahane? Not even close. Vendyl was Vendyl. The Rebbi, I mean, we're nothing compared to that. I mean, it's not even a false humility thing. We know that. Those were great people. I couldn't write this book. Are you joking me? Not even remotely close to this. And I'm up here like, yeah, I'm teaching Meir Kahane. It's a joke. I am a joke. You are a joke. 1990 was not a joke. But they died. And now we're here, as destiny would have it, trying to hold our head up like we matter. Maybe we do matter, because no one else is doing it. And it's the ger conference teaching Meir Kahane in this way, with Noahide Jones here, right? In the memorial, and God saying it's up to this crew. We got Chaim from back in the day, oblivious to the Meir Kahane thing. We got Rav Schwartz in Jerusalem saying, Katz, take it. I can't just take it and run. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So with that said, my question again, what are we supposed to do with Meir Kahane? Because what we're doing is not working. I mean, we're working, but his view is greater than our view. But his view got him dead. So how do we incorporate that? That's going to be the kind of the perplexing issue. Because we have to incorporate this view because he's right. It's the other half of the story. If you thought ger was complicated with me, now we got to bring in the whole thing that we've been rejecting all this time of the ger slave and all that. How do you convey it's the Muslim, the Ramdu? But we've been doing it. I mean, we've been teaching Ramdu. We've been teaching, don't call the ger the Shabbos, all these things. But with Meir Kahane, he's saying there is a place for that. And the Ramdu is saying, you better believe there's a place for that. You've got to break the power of ISIS over there and clean out the land. So if you don't want to do it through halakha, we're going to do it through Kabbalah. And that's going to be the challenge. To unite these two visions. I mean, the Ramdu already did it, but he was, again, in that time of the Vilna Gaon in 1740, on that timeline. So he did his job. And here we are. We don't know where we're at in time. It's like 12:37 on the clock. 6 days of creation. right? Mashiach, who knows what happened after 90? Where's Mashiach after 90? I don't know. We know it's with Ger, but we know that. But what does that look like? Who knows? It's because they didn't know in 90 what they were doing. Only in retrospect we can look back and say they had it. No one was listening to Meir Kahane back then. It took someone like me today to look back and say, yeah, that guy got it. That's right. So, God willing, we'll figure out our piece of the puzzle, how it goes together. And we are doing it. I mean, I have no doubt. But you have to use your brain to figure it out. God works through the agency of man. You don't just get, oh, that was thanks God, I know what to do now. No. You have, like Chaim said, wisdom to use to figure it out. And I'll close on this note. I guess I finished the whole thing, really. I do believe that we will figure it out. I might be a small rabbi, but I know what was written in these books. And it's pretty heavy duty. And these guys had no doubt when they wrote it. And when I learn it, I have no doubt. And I have no doubt in any of you or what we're doing. It's just tough. I don't want to get killed like Rav Kahane, but I don't think I will. Because we know, and I'll really close on this, Mashiach ben Yosef lives, called Od Yosef Chai, where Aaron Soloveitchik wrote this in the Merit of Kol Torah, and this was written in Merit of Kol Torah. And Rav Moshe Soloveitchik, who endorses the work in Chicago, the son of Aaron Soloveitchik, who wrote this, Rav Moshe's son died, and his name was Yisrael Yosef. And he was a Talmud Chacham kid, like 12 years old, and he was mourning his grandson. And we are translating this book in the merit of that kid. And as Mashiach ben Yosef lives, we see it, Od Yisrael Yosef Beni Chai, my son Joseph still lives. We know that's the prophecy given, as Hillel says in Pirkei Avot, if not now, when? And I don't think we have another generation to pick up these pieces. Because we're all here, we're at least able to do the job. The next generation, there's not going to be another Russell Kirk. Who's going to go back and read Meir Kahane and these books? I mean, it's us. Is there another Lorette? Is there another Anita? Is there another Rod? Maybe, but I wouldn't bank on it. I think we're quite capable and competent with what we have here. We're a very strong crew. It's got to work. It just has to. It can't not do it. Wasn't that?
Amazing.